recognise on any level how ridiculous you sound? And I say that affectionately.
Okay, all right, yeah, I suppose so. So now,
and the second question is, who did this to you? Where do you think this came from? Because you weren't born like this. At some point...
Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, because what you're about to see is one of the most brutal takedowns of a Trump supporter caught flat-footed on live radio. James O'Brien, a British presenter with a razor-sharp tongue, doesn't just question this Trump fan, he absolutely dismantles him. Every excuse, every half-baked claim, every desperate attempt to justify blind loyalty to Trump, all of it comes crashing down under the weight of simple, direct questions. And by the end, the poor guy's left stumbling over his own words, exposed for not having a shred of evidence to back up what he was saying. Now here's the thing. Yes, this is an older video, but it's exactly the kind of moment that still matters today because it shows us something bigger. The playbook never changes. These kinds of arguments are still being made right now, in 2025, with the exact same shaky logic. That's why it's worth watching again, because it's not just about one caller, it's about an entire movement built on belief without proof. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. All right, let's get into it.
All right, this is the atmosphere that Donald Trump has come into. The average Americans don't vote because they're just disenchanted with the entire thing. They think they're all crooks. It doesn't matter. And for people to scoff and say, oh, well, there's no proof of that. Oh, it can't be true.
Yes.
I'm sorry, man. I just think that's a little bit naive. Yeah, I mean...
So you're talking about an environment of... Because Trump is the crook that they thought all politicians were, but he comes...
But the thing is he's an honest crook, mate. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's not hiding it. You know, you say that, oh, Biden sounded like a statesman. Like, that's a good thing.
Yes.
It's not.
Right.
It's somebody who spent their life being a polished liar, taking corporate agenda and pushing it through.
Are you describing these are not good things. Are you describing what you think now, or what you think they think?
This is what I believe, and this is what I've spoken to many of my friends back in America. We talk about these things, you know. And you've got the whole media juggernaut
if I asked you to persuade me that Joe Biden was a polished liar, what would you do?
I just pointed his 50-year career.
Yeah, well, go on.
How else could he possibly stay in power? I mean, this is the whole
that's
thing
a question. That's a question, not an answer.
From outside.
No, I know, but I just want you to.
I'll be honest with you, man. I don't have any facts because I didn't know anything about Joe Biden before I heard his name as the elector.
But you're absolutely certain that he spent half a century lying.
If he's a politician, he's been in the job for that long. I don't see how he could avoid it.
But you just said you'd never heard of him before last year.
I don't need to hear.
He was vice president.
This is what I think of average American.
Shouting louder doesn't make any more sense because he was vice president for 8 years.
Right. Again, I'd never heard of him.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of him.
I mean, is it fair to suggest? Is it fair to suggest that you may not be the best qualified commentator on American politics?
I'm just trying to give you a look into.
And I am. You've given me a very interesting look, Jim.
I'm the average person as well.
You may be, but you've admitted you know absolutely nothing, but you're certain of your prejudices.
I'm certain that this is the way that it's going to be looked at by the people like Trump's followers.
No, that's why I said to you, are you telling me what you think, or are you telling me what you think they think?
I'm telling you what I think. I'm telling you
what has been a common
denominator between my friends that I've spoken to about the subject.
I understand that. I mean, I find it horrible what you're describing, but I don't think you're lying. I think you're being honest. So you can look at Donald Trump and see what you described as an honest crook, and there is all the evidence of his wrongdoing that goes back 50 years, and you know, we could make a list. We'd be here until Christmas.
Yep, the man's got immense character flaws.
Not character flaws, criminality.
I do not think he's a good person.
But then you've got Joe Biden over there, and you've got no evidence whatsoever of his malfeasance or misbehaviour, but you're absolutely convinced he's a wrong 'un. So would you mind if I...
Again, I would refer back to the Panorama program that I saw, which appalled me.
Yes, but was he in it?
A news crew can go over, pretend to be a lobbyist.
But was Joe Biden in? Was Joe Biden in it?
No.
So
he was not in it.
I've got two questions. Do you recognise on any level how ridiculous you sound? And I say that affectionately.
Okay, all right, yeah, I suppose so. So now,
and the second question is, who did this to you? Where do you think this came from, because you weren't born like this. At some point in the last 50 years, you've become a man who's absolutely convinced of things despite having no evidence for it whatsoever. How do you think that happened?
Because I have been pulled over, and I have had police in America rewrite the arrest report, and I have had basically lies told in court about me, and I have had trouble in America.
And that's how you know that Joe Biden is not to be trusted. This is my personal experience with
the establishment.
Oh, what? Being pulled over by police in America?
That's right.
Okay. Well, it's been interesting talking to you, Jim.
I had a can of beer that was unopened.
There's more.
Unopened in my car.
Yes.
And they wrote it up as an open container. And I ended up with a DUI.
And that's how you know that Joe Biden is corrupt.
Trump.
And think about this for a second. That clip we just watched wasn't recorded yesterday. It was from all the way back in 2021. Yet here we are, in 2025, and the script hasn't changed one bit. The same tired arguments, the same baseless claims, the same knee-jerk instinct to blame Joe Biden for literally everything under the sun, all without providing a shred of actual proof. What makes it even more jaw-dropping is what we just heard from that Trump supporter. With a straight face, he called Donald Trump, and I quote, "an honest crook." Let that sink in. An honest crook. That's the standard. That's the bar. Somehow, admitting corruption is seen as authenticity, while Joe Biden, who wasn't even implicated in the caller's own examples, gets branded as corrupt with zero evidence whatsoever. This isn't just political spin. This is the world we're living in, a world where facts take a back seat to feelings, where loyalty to Trump overrides basic logic, and where people convince themselves that acknowledging dishonesty somehow makes it admirable. And the sad reality is, these aren't isolated moments. This is exactly what we keep running into. Supporters who can't back up their outrage, yet cling to it anyway. And this right here is exactly who we're dealing with in today's political landscape. It's not some fringe, isolated voice. It's a mindset that has spread through millions of people who genuinely believe Donald Trump is some kind of righteous saint while Joe Biden is painted as a corrupt monster. That level of distortion isn't just bizarre. It's dangerous. Because think about what it takes to reach that point. To call Trump, of all people, an honest crook as if that's a badge of honor. And then, in the very next breath, condemn Biden without offering a single piece of evidence. That isn't debate. That isn't logic. That's delusion disguised as conviction. And when large groups of people operate from that kind of blind certainty, they're not just wrong, they're impossible to reason with. This is why our political climate feels so toxic. Facts don't break through anymore. Evidence doesn't matter. What matters is loyalty to a narrative, no matter how flimsy it is. And that's why conversations like the one James O'Brien had are so important. They reveal in real time how shallow these arguments truly are. But here's the scary part. These aren't just random voices shouting into the wind. These are voters, activists, influencers, people who show up at rallies and flood comment sections. Their worldview isn't built on proof, but it shapes elections, policies, and the broader conversation we're all forced to live in. And if you think this ends with one radio exchange, think again. This is the same script we keep seeing over and over, recycled every election cycle with a new excuse or a new scapegoat. So yes, it might seem ridiculous. It might make you shake your head or laugh at the absurdity. But it also should make you pause, because this is the challenge staring us in the face every single day. Until next time, this has been The Whip Line. Thanks for tuning in.